Good morning, Toastmasters. Another beautiful day in Western New York. Gonna get this meeting started. We'll turn things right over to our Toastmaster of the day, Darcy Colby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for that introduction. It is my responsibility to introduce all the speakers today. And after the speeches have been made, I'll ask for the timers report, request ballots, introduce a general evaluator, the odd counter, grammarian report, and word of the day report, the results of voting, and then I'll relinquish control of the meeting back to our presiding officer, Mr. President. Today's theme is summer fun. And I've been having a lot of summer fun, and I hope that you have too. And I hope that you can share all the summer fun that you've been having so far this summer. The first order of the day would be to give the pledge to the flag. Will you please stand for the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our inspiration master today is Zach Finney. Zach, do you have an inspiration for us today?
I do. Thank you. I spent the last few days thinking about what inspiration is exactly, and what I landed on was stories. I think we're inspired by stories that other people share about how their lives have changed in different ways. And so I wanted to just share a few of the ways that my life has personally changed since starting Toastmasters. Number one, I'm still afraid. I'm still scared every single time, no matter what the role is. But the fear is a lot less. And it reminds me of when I was a personal trainer, and the way that we talked about resistance training, strength training, was that the weights never change. The resistance never changes. You just get stronger and better, more equipped, more adapted to handling that specific type of stress. And so I've really been enjoying the process of handling that stress. Some other ways my life has changed is I'm talking to people more. I'm putting myself out there more. I've started making YouTube videos, Instagram videos. I've joined a few other groups that are oriented around business development and communication and leadership. And just in this last week, I decided to start a business myself. And so I wanted to just share that win with all of you in hopes that it might inspire you guys to keep moving forward and to keep growing and pushing yourselves beyond the place where you're currently comfortable. Thank you all.
Thank you, Zach. Very nice inspiration for us. Our word master is Tracy Farrell. Tracy, do you have a word for us today?
I do. Thank you, Darcy. So, our word of the day is carefree because, of course, we all have carefree summers. However, if you guys want extra credit, the word of the day could be insouciant, which is a synonym of carefree, meaning free from worry or concern. And the good, interesting thing for this is it could be used positively or negatively. It's kind of a nonchalant, whatever. Positively, she walked into the exam with an insolent wave, completely relaxed. You're going to use it negatively, like nonchalant. The company showed an insolent attitude towards customer complaints. So you can use either insolent for the extra credit or carefree. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tracy. Can you spell insolent, please?
Yes, it's INSOUCIANT.
And pronounce it one more time for us.
Insolent.
Thank you. Insolent. I'm going to try to be insolent today, and I want us all to have some fun. All right. Our next meeting, our next on the agenda is the Master, and that's Carol Holstead. Carol, do you have a description of your duty today? Make sure that you unmute, Carol.
Okay. As a master, I will be listening to everyone and making note of their ahs, ums, pregnant pauses, and report back at the end. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol. Last night I went to the Niagara County Tractor Parade where your relative Dougie Halstead was one of the announcers. So that was
I was there. I was there too.
Oh, I didn't see you. All right. Next on the agenda is our grammarian, Mary Cavanero. Will you give us a description of your duties, please?
I will be listening for good and bad language and report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Our quote master today is Mark Campus. Do you have a quote for us, Mark?
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I missed that one, so please come back to me.
Okay, that's fine. We will come back to you. Our jester is Margot Sue Bittner. Good morning, Margot.
Good morning, Darcy. And I know tomorrow's the Dairy Princess Day. I'm trying to talk my daughter into coming back for that for county fair, but I don't think I'm going to have any success. It's the 60th anniversary. But you want a carefree joke. So my husband works all summer. We start harvesting July 1st. We finish November 1st. So the idea of summer fun is completely foreign to him, which is why one day when he called the winery and asked if Mike was here, if I wanted to get out of the winery for a while. And I was really excited. He says, we're going to go do something fun. I have a real great surprise for you. So he came and picked me up, and he even changed his clothes. I mean, he got out of his farmer uniform and put on a nice shirt, nice pants. Well, as we're leaving, the phone rings, and he has to go over to Barker, to the Lions building for our medical loan closet. Somebody needed something. So we waited around for a while. The person came, got what they wanted. And he says to me, you know, since we're in Barker, Dudley Chafee just put up a brand new barn. I want to go check out the barn. So we check out the barn. And I said, okay, now we're going to do something fun? He goes, absolutely. We're going to head up Heartland Road, and I got a great plan for you. So as we get closer to Heartland Road, the phone rings, and there's something at the storage that they really need his help with. And he says, is it okay if we go to the storage? And so, of course, I give him the wifely response of, fine. You promised me something. So we get up to the storage, and I'm sitting in the car waiting. They fix whatever equipment it is, and we're heading back to Heartland Road. He says, this is going to be great. You're going to just love this. So I'm really excited. But just before we get to Heartland Road, the phone rings, and it's David, and he has a tractor breakdown, and he needs his dad's help. I said, Jim, Kevin's around. Ruben's around, all these other people are around. Can't somebody else help? Nope. I got to go help David. So we go back, we get David, figure out what's wrong, go to the barn, get the parts, take David back. And he says, and now we're going. I promise no more phone calls. And he stuck to that. So we got up Lake Road, we're going up Heartland Road, and we get to Seaman Road. Now, some of you might remember Jim Luckman. Jim Luckman had pigs. And as we get to Seaman Road, there are pigs all over the road. They are everywhere. And I said to Jim, don't hit a pig, obviously. But then he says, look, we're going to have to put these pigs back. I said, well, why don't you just call Jim and tell him his pigs are out? And he says, no, I have to get the pigs in. I'm going to help him out with this. Now, I've been in the car for probably close to 2 hours. I'm pissed. I turned to him and said, why do you have to help with the pigs? Are they relatives of yours? And he looks me in the eye and he says, they sure are. They're my in-laws. Madam Toastmaster.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. I can relate to all of that. In fact, most of my summer trips have been tractor related. In fact, the reason I wasn't a couple of weeks ago at our Toastmasters meeting, because I was out in Ohio looking at a tractor that my husband was going to buy, and he did buy it. A big 300 horsepower New Holland with duals on the front, duals on the back, and it just arrived here about 2 days ago. So yeah, I get it. All right. Who's next? We have our timer, and David Jones has very graciously agreed to be the timer today in place of Marty Johnson. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As timer, I will be keeping time. I believe all of our speeches are 5 to 7. Unfortunately, one of them is not filled out. Table topics 1 to 2 minutes, and evaluations 2 to 3. I'll be using the background colors of green, yellow, and if you are too carefree with your time, I will also have to hit the red and keep it on, and I'll report when called upon. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Thank you for filling in. Next on the agenda, we have our quiz master. Michael Licata, will you give us a rundown of your duty today?
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests this morning. My job as Quizmaster will be to test everyone's listening skills and report back at the end of the meeting, and hopefully we will not be too carefree with our listening this morning. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to have to come back to you, Mark. Are you ready with a quote?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, I am ready. Sorry about the little hiccup there.
No
Madam
problem.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, good morning. Just a quick quote, something I think we can all relate to as we get a bit older as it relates to summer. How quick time goes by now compared to when you were a kid. Summer used to feel like it lasted forever. Now it's just 12 weeks. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mark. I missed last week's Toastmaster meeting because of 2 reasons. We were at the lake house of my brother-in-law for 4 days, and then my family reunion. And the weather cooperated. It didn't rain, so we had a great time at both. So those are the reasons I haven't been at Toastmasters for the last 2 weeks. I've just been having so much summer fun. It was carefree and insolent. I don't know if I said that correctly. All right. It's time for table topics. And I hope we can have some carefree, insolent fun with our table topics today. Our table topics master is Bridget Newton. I'm going to relinquish control to Bridget.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. So today for table topics, I will be asking individuals some impromptu questions where you'll have the opportunity to speak, hopefully in a carefree, insouciant way where you can express the summer fun that you've been having. I will give everyone 1 to 2 minutes to do this. Let's see who we shall call on first. How about Dr. Gerald Stevens? I see you're here today. So, Dr. Gerald Stevens, my first question for you is, during the wintertime, we wait all winter for summer. We anticipate all of the fun things that we can do. And what is one of the first things that you try to take part in once the summer months are here and you're able to dehibernate from being stuck inside for the winter?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. I try to definitely be carefree in the summertime. What happens in the summertime for my family is we get booked up pretty quick. And my wife takes care of all of that. So I don't have to do anything in regards to planning. So the carefree times begin. Sometimes it's every weekend. The first thing I would do probably is very simple. Have a bonfire. That is the superest, simplest thing you can possibly do, but it has to happen before it gets too hot. So that's why it would be first. So I try to get a bunch of those early summer, and then definitely also in the fall. It's nice to sit in the back and relax and bring the grandkids over. I spent a lot of time this summer hanging out with the grandkids, playing t-ball, soccer, pretty much everything. I actually have a couple slingshots that I made a long time ago as a young person. Gonna do that. We painted rocks with my granddaughter yesterday, so that was fun. I took her around in the old Corvette, so she was finally old enough to do that. And then, of course, everybody's favorite pastime, or should be if it's not, getting ice cream. I definitely do that. Went to Alethia's the other day. Beautiful place. Definitely recommend on Main Street, Williamsville. And that is part of our carefree attitude in the summertime. Madam Table Topics.
Thank you so much. What flavor ice cream is your favorite? I'm adding an extra ditty to the question.
Black raspberry.
Ooh, nice. Very nice. Great. Thank you so much. So let me think. Who would I like to call on next? Christina, you're going to be a new official member. So what if we bring you into the table topics realm?
Thank you, Table Master.
So let's see. What do I want to ask you? Okay, how about this? Our summer fun, we could be going to the mountains, we could go to the water, we could go to our backyard. We could traverse to all kinds of different places to enjoy our summer. Where do you enjoy going to enjoy your summer fun activities?
Well, being that this is technically my second summer in Western New York, having come from Phoenix, Arizona for 22 years, and there's not a lot to speak of with the summer fun in Phoenix. You are indoors. So I shall speak of the summers I've had growing up in Western New York and returning to, and the joys of the summer fun I recall from my childhood that I've been experiencing this summer. Footloose and fancy free, my place has got to be in the woods. It's got to be running around barefoot and making sure I smell the earth and see the trees. And I definitely am a woodland girl. I like to make sure there's a little bit of water around. And as there's lots of creeks in Western New York, in Medina, New York, it's a little lake called Glenwood Lake, where if you were to put your paddle boat in there like I've done, you can find a tiny little creek that sort of offshoots. And wow, paddling down this little creek privately where a dozen cormorants might be sunning themselves, and there really shouldn't be any boats going down in here. Maybe there is an occasional one, but they skedaddle pretty quickly when they realize it's a very peaceful place. And if you keep paddling about 20 minutes, you'll see a beautiful waterfall. And so I like to think about that place even now if I want to escape in my mind. But this is the place I try to go for the summer. About a total of an hour paddling around out there, and you come back a different person, or at least I have. And then, as someone had called out, got to get some ice cream. So I'll just tie it off with that. That is my summer fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. That sounds absolutely lovely. I am going to have to try to go there and experience that. That sounds such a carefree experience. Thank you. So my last question. Um, I think you know what? I'm going to call on our little songbird Maggie. And speaking of songs, okay, I'm going to tie this in. Speaking of songs, the summer time is a wonderful time to go and listen to outdoor concerts. Go listen to music, local or big musicians, whatever. And what have you enjoyed? Have you gone to enjoy music? Who have you seen? Where do you like to go to enjoy some outdoor music?
Good morning, Toastmasters. Well, in the good old summertime, got to get one line in there anyway. On my in my succinct summer season, I have been lucky enough to see a couple of bands. But before I tell you about the bands that you can see in Lockport, I'll tell you some of the memories that I've had about speaking or about seeing bands in my hometown, which is just around the corner. I grew up in Niagara on the other side of the river and went to high school in St. Catharines, Ontario. And if you know St. Catharines, you might know Montebello Park, that is famous for summer concerts and sitting in the grass with your family and dancing your heart out. You might also, and I know for a fact there's a couple of Rush fans out there, be familiar with Lakeside Park, except for I think I just got the band wrong. Oh well, it's Table Topics. No apologies here. I have been lucky enough this very week, to see a couple of stellar bands in Lockport, New York. I went to see a band called The Righteous Villains at Groff's, and beautiful evening, spectacular sky. Can't even tell you how beautiful that sky was sitting out in the back patio at Groff's. Never been there, didn't know it existed. I'm going to be a big fan. Plus, we ate and had a couple of drinks, and our bill was like $42. How is it possible? I think they made a mistake, but then I checked the bill. They didn't. Wow, go. Live music, good live music, excellent blues, excellent music. Last night, we went to the Big Ditch. They're having a music summer concert series, and I saw a band called Welcome Distraction. So they were out. Succinct summer season. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much. And thank you for, I can't think of the proper word, but singing a little ditty for us at the beginning. I appreciate that. So that's all I have for Table Topics today. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And I will pass it back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master of the Day. Thank you. I'd like to give a toast to all the Table Topics participants for being good sports. Let's toast to that. I'm also going to introduce our general evaluator, Mike Florio. Mike, will you just give us a little description of your duties today?
Sure, just a little description. Good morning, everyone. I will be evaluating the evaluators this morning and evaluating the Toastmaster this morning, Darcy. Just going over maybe the meeting, how it went, and commenting on the summer this year. So we've already gone to the Niagara Fair, and of course I have to have my corn on the cob and my fried dough, and let's see, candy apples, and what else did I have? I had fried dough. What else? All the good junk food that I like to eat, and I don't get to eat all the time. So it was a lot of fun last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It's always fun to eat fair food.
Mm-hmm.
Last week was the Orleans County Fair. And as a 4-H leader myself, one of my 4-H members showed one of my husband's calves at the Orleans County Fair last week. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. This is a 10-year-old kid who did not grow up on a farm, but he has had enthusiasm beyond belief. And in fact, in his showmanship class, he won the blue ribbon. All right, I'm going to call for the word of the day use in table topics. Our word master today is Tracy.
Thank you, Darcy. So Dr. Stevens used the word carefree 3 times. Maggie, you get 2 times extra credit for using insolent. Insouciant. Sorry. Madam Toastmaster. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, Christina did not use the word of the day.
All right. So the timer's report for the table topics is, who's our timer today? Oh, David Jones. Thank you, David.
All 3 qualified with Gerald Stevens at 144, Christina at 210, and Maggie at 212.
So thank you, David. Am I to understand that if they did not use the word of the day, they're not eligible to win? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So please place your vote.
May I say, as the table topics, though, that because Christina is brand spanking new and may not know that rule, that we could still include her in the vote. I'm just throwing that out as the table topics master.
You are so kind. That would not be necessary, but I'm learning as I go. But you are so kind to even suggest it. I'll lean out now. Sorry. I was not invited to speak. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to defer this to our president. Mr. President, what is your decision for this question?
Well, as we already have the polling up for table topics, let's just go with the 2 contestants.
I stopped it, so I could go either way with it.
Oh, okay. All right, let's include all 3 then.
Okay.
We'll make it a normal one.
Thank you, Lon.
So just give Mark a second to update the poll and we'll relaunch that. And Darcy, you can carry on with the meeting.
All right, thank you. Please vote for best table topics of the day. Next week, my husband and I are going to Ag Progress Days in Pennsylvania near the Pennsylvania State College. We used to take my parents before my dad passed away, and they always enjoyed that, and we always enjoy that. Now that Empire Farm Days is no longer running in New York State, now we go to Pennsylvania, and they do a nice job putting on a farm show. Again, do you see a pattern here? Tractor related. All right, it's that time in our meeting for the speakers. Our first speaker is Beth Banks, and her evaluator is David Licata. David, would you introduce Beth, please?
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster. Moments before the meeting started, I went online and I couldn't find the description. I didn't see my name, and just shoot me. So, seeing how I have been a Toastmaster for some time now, I'll be happy to evaluate her if she could just give me a little introduction before the timer starts. That'd be fine. But I suffered confusion. I'm sorry. No, we never apologize.
That's okay, David. I apologize too. In fact, Beth gave me a introduction. Let me go back to that. The title, Memories of Summer Fun. It is not a Pathways speech, but thank you, Beth, for stepping up and giving a speech. Beth Banks, Memories of Summer Fun. Memories of Summer Fun, Beth Banks.
Thank you. Before I start, David Jones, did you see the message that it will be 5 to 7 minutes? Cut me off then. Otherwise, someone will claim that I'm my husband and I just keep going and going. Okay. You don't know him well, but there's a number of people here who know that he requires a hook regularly. So thank you. So memories of summer fun. I actually used both an exclamation point and a question mark at the end of my title on purpose. I'm going to be talking today about some of my memories of summer fun when I was growing up. Probably my earliest was when we would go visit a family friend, their family, the Hinos, and we went to Wasaga Beach, which I have returned to just to drive through. I will say it really hasn't changed that much. It's great beach for taking a family because there is plenty of sand and the water, you can walk out quite a ways before there's any danger at all. We had a lot of memories growing up camping. After we went to the Wasaga Beach, we also, then my parents bought a tent trailer. We went a variety of places. We went to the Adirondacks a number of times. The first time we had a very small campsite. I think basically you could step down from your own trailer into someone else's. We never went back there. We spent many times going to Groton State Forest in Vermont. Wonderful place, huge campsites. You could hike, you could see all these huge boulders. We went swimming. We went to the Norman Rockwell Museum and all the lovely little towns in Vermont. We went to another site in the Adirondacks. Apparently going to the Adirondacks maybe wasn't that good for my family. We went to one, my mother got sick, which very rarely happened. So my father decided he would make dinner without her. Making spaghetti on a grill might not be the best thing to do. When he went to pour the spaghetti through into the colander, it went all over the fire. The air around our campsite was slightly blue, if any of you know what that means. And we went to McDonald's for dinner, which never happened in our household, but we went that day. Another campground we went to was in the Finger Lakes. I learned early on in life that my father going to the Finger Lakes meant rain every time. Every time. We went to this campground. My grandparents went with us. That was interesting. I found out then just how afraid of mice my mother was. We went to the big bathroom building. My mother jumped up on the toilet because there was a little tiny mouse that scurried in front of her. She didn't want to come down. I am dying laughing. I was probably 12, 13. And she got mad at me because I was laughing at her, but I meant, Mom, it's a mouse. It's not going to hurt you. Get away from it, But she eventually did come down off the toilet and leave the bathroom, but didn't like it at all. But that brings up the rest of the story there, which that's my question mark. Was it fun? At that time, we had a tent trailer that had what was called an adder room. It literally was an extra room that zipped on to the tent trailer, doubled the space. So my grandparents had plenty of space out in the adder room. We were in the tent trailer. Well, early in the morning, as was my mother's habit, she would get up, go to the bathroom, and she couldn't see across the tent trailer. It was black, full of black smoke. How none of us woke up, I don't know. So she started waking us all up. Get up, get up. We have to get out. We have to air it out, everything. Well, not only was the air black, so were we. We were totally black except for our eyes that would wake up and it really, yes, my mother was worried about us, but it was rather funny. We had to go and go to a cousin's house, get showers. It was interesting. Another thing that we did in the insouciant activities of childhood, we played outside. We built forts. We climbed trees. We built bridges across little ditches. They weren't very big bridges, obviously. We played flashlight tag. Everyone know flashlight tag? Am I getting, yes? Lots of fun, but probably one of my favorite, and it still remains to this day, is swimming. Probably about 66 years ago, my grandparents bought a built-in pool, probably one of the first in Burt. I think they got a deal with the Hillers because Bernie Hiller got a pool at the same time, and my grandfather taught me how to swim. So that is really one of my favorite activities still, relaxing. It's what we did yesterday. We did have the pool rebuilt last year. So I just enjoy my carefree experiences in the summer. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Beth. So nice to hear about your summer memories. And this is so much fun in this insouciant mode for this meeting. One of the other jobs, one job I have during the summer is I work at Springdale Farm, which is right across the road from where I live. If you haven't been to Springdale Farm, you ought to come out and experience it. It's a county park owned by the county. There are several animals and all kinds of fun things for little kids, for older kids, for young adults, for older adults. You could spend a few hours there. And the best part is it's free. I work in the dairy barn giving tours of the robot facility. But so I'm kind of isolated in one area, but there's so much to do and see there at Springdale Farm. I highly recommend it. Our second speaker of the day, get my notes here, is Jill Roaring. Jill is going to be evaluated by Samantha. Samantha, would you give a introduction to Jill's speech today?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Jill is presenting from the Presentation Mastery Pathway, Level 3. The purpose of this speech is to use visual aids effectively, and there should be a minimum of 1, but no more than 3. Her speech title is Just Feed the Birds. Jill Roaring, Just Feed the Birds.
Okay, Mr. Timer, before you start, I'm going to have more than 3 visual aids because I don't have a flip chart. I have props. And I hope the neighbor mowing his lawn next door doesn't hurt. And the other problem is our internet connection is weak this morning. Not much I can do about that, I don't think. So now we can get started. Just feed the birds. Summer bird feeding is so different from winter feeding in the winter. But how? What am I doing differently? For one thing, summer feeding includes not only the typical bird feeders and suet, but also a variety of other enticements. So where to start? Hummingbirds. Everybody loves hummingbirds. Hummingbirds eat small bugs and plant nectar. I can't provide the bugs. I can create an environment that makes them comfortable and to make their inevitabilities less obvious. But I can't actually do big bug. I put flowers, trees, and groundhoppers, all spider bugs to take up residence. And hopefully they'll be happy. But don't bug me holes in the leaves and kill my plants. Not if I have healthy leaves and not if I have healthy plants. There'll be some holes and marks, but if my plants are healthy, it won't be obvious. Is another story. I'm the cone connector here. Supports artificial feeding, which can be anything as simple as 4 lumps of water sugar, all the way to a commercial mix that may have extra vitamins and minerals. For you as leaders, you need to experience something during the bird song. Flowers get drawn in color red, as you see here. This means another feature. The red can be used in many ways. You get a hummingbird, particularly attracted to a red level. They come to sing their red, not just red flowers. They also have a new partner, which we can't see here, with here, the long neck. Sometimes they are unpredictable. They love lantanas, which again, you're not going to be able to see it, but lantanas make a flat flower similar to a Queen Anne's lace. But if you look at them, they actually are all kinds of little mini tubes. And hummers are not the only ones that enjoy nectar. Baltimore orioles, with their fabulous orange coloring, of course the flamboyant males only, are primarily bug eaters. But they also consume nectars, orange slices, and grape jelly. If you want to find out how popular feeding grape jelly, good old grape jelly, go to the grocery store in the summer and see how much grape jelly is available. One of the fun things in watching summer feeding is watching the birds. Now, I haven't really seen it with hummingbirds, but the oriole moms and dads will actually bring their kids to the feeder and grab a gob of the grape jelly, which is so entertaining to see them give it to the baby the first time or two. They learn pretty quick. Although it does make for some budget concerns, because in the heat of summer, I'm going through about a jar almost every day. Yeah. Which also brings us to suet. I feed suet cakes year round. Some people tell you, oh, don't feed suet cakes in the summer. It melts. No, it doesn't. Not the suet cakes. If you buy suet from the grocery store, maybe yes. In the winter, I generally will go through 4 to 6 cakes a week, maybe. Maybe usually even less. Then spring brings the grackles, the starlings, and the red-winged blackbirds. Sometimes they're very pretty with the sun glinting off their iridescence. But when the suet cakes are demolished as many as 4 a day, it does make me wonder why I'm doing this. And the woodpeckers are why. When we have as many as 6 varieties of woodpeckers coming to our home, the cost of eating too much suet, every qualm of it goes out the window. And what do? Up until this year, we've had downy, hairy, red-bellied, and giant pileated woodpeckers. Flicker-infested soil. Red-headed woodpeckers with their incredibly red, vibrant vermilion red heads bring so much joy, but we're uncommon at our feeders. Something happened in this last year, and the daily count of red-headed woodpeckers has magnified what seems to be a constantly accelerating daily count. Most woodpeckers you can tell from the males from the females. And not unusually a big difference, but it relies on the placement or amount of red on their heads. But redheads, I haven't found a change. But yesterday I did see it. On most of the woodies, the kids tend to have less brilliant white portions with a sprinkling of juvenile gray feathers within. Yesterday I saw on the suet feeder what was obviously a young red-headed woodpecker. It had a gray head. And that's why I put up with all the crazy consumption habits of all these blackbirds. Another benefit of all my summer plants for birds is they're also helpful for monarchs. This one right here is an ageratum. I've seen 3 monarchs at a time on this one same plant, which is incredible because monarchs are supposed to be rare. So bird feeding year-round also brings in many other animals that come to the feed from feeders. Rabbits, chipmunks, squirrels, deer, and foxes also grace our presence, which makes summer bird feeding not just feed the birds, but also time to feed the entire outdoors. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, for sharing your knowledge of plants and birds. I feed the birds too on my bird feeder. I go through a lot of feed, and I'll fill the feeder one day, and by that evening they'll have it all thrown on the ground. I'll let them clean it up, then I'll fill it again. But thank you so much for that. Another fun thing I've been doing this summer is my duo Leather and Lace has been out playing 2 or 3 times a month. We've played at Becker Farms, Canisius Lake, the Sweet Corn Festival at Market 1892. We played at the Rabbit Hole in Rochester. And just a few days ago, we played at the Gazebo on the Canal in Spencerport. I got my 5 seconds of fame on Channel 10 News for that, so I'm good. It's about 4 seconds too much. All right, our next speaker, our last and final speaker of the day is Joe Budnack, and his evaluator will be Sylvia Baptiste. Sylvia, will you give us a rundown of Joe's speech today?
I will. Good morning, everyone. Joe is working on in Pathways, a presentation mastery, level 3, persuasive speaking. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech, Mr. Timer. His project is to focus on helping the speaker to develop and support a viewpoint and identity, the most appropriate type of persuasive speech. The purpose of the speech is to understand the types of persuasive speeches and deliver a persuasive speech. It should be well organized, appeal to emotions like carefree, ethics, logic. It could be humorous, informative. It could be both. Any type of style he feels he would like to do. It should not be a report, though. And the title is The Importance of Self-Care. Joe Budnack.
Thank you, Sylvia. Before I begin, I just want to say, Beth, your mom's reaction with a mouse, that would have been me with a spider. I hate spiders, so I can kind of relate. So, we all know how important it is to keep ourselves healthy. Listening to the getting proper nutrition, exercise, listening to the doctor. Yes, it is very important to follow doctor's orders. However, supposing you follow your doctor's orders and something still doesn't feel right, you know yourself, you know your body. What do you do then? Well, let me share an experience that I had a little while back. A couple years ago, I wasn't feeling well. I went to the doctor a couple times and told him, not feeling well, having trouble keeping my food down, and I wonder what's going on. And he kept insisting, you're fine. It's your acid reflux. take your antacid. I won't say who this doctor was, but I followed his directions, and for some reason, I wasn't feeling better. I was starting to feel worse. But I listened to him and thought, well, maybe that's exactly what it is. He is the doctor. But in retrospect, when I'm thinking, I really should have gotten a second opinion. One evening, it was around maybe 7 o'clock. I had just had dinner. I went upstairs in my room, and unfortunately, I got sick on my dinner. I walked out of the bathroom, and this pain hit me really bad. It was in my side. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 10. I felt like I had gotten shot or stabbed. I just about collapsed to the floor. Something was not right. I went downstairs, told my mom about it. Well, she feels bad when she thinks about this now. She thought it was just a guy thing. Guys can't handle pain. Well, she said, if it's really that bad, then see the doctor again tomorrow. Stupid me, I thought I could just sleep it off. I was in agony all night long. I went to the doctor the next day. Finally, grudgingly, it seems like, he finally took one look at me and sent me to the ER. In the ER, they admitted me. They told me, you've got yourself one heck of a case of gallstones because your gallbladder is practically shot. Well, they admitted me to the hospital. They had to get my blood pressure under control, my temperature under control, before they could even do surgery. My poor mother, I feel bad for her. When I went in to have my operation, they said to her, oh, he should be in and out of surgery like, half hour at the most. I was in surgery 4.5 hours. What happened was my gallbladder ruptured and it was dumping a bunch of gook into my system. I know this sounds gross, but they had to open me right up and clear all this crud out of my system before they could even finish. They tried to do it the regular way, the Lysic, but they couldn't do it that way. I felt okay when I got out of surgery. They took me back to my room. I think I had tubes coming out just about every part of me. I looked like a sprinkler system. It was ridiculous. But ever since that incident, I felt better and try to eat a little better, try to take care of myself a little more, and try to keep myself a little more healthier than I was. In retrospect, I stop and think I really wasn't eating that well. I really wasn't eating all that healthy. So I do try to a little bit more now. The moral of the story is, yes, it's important to listen to your doctor. Yes, get nutrition, exercise, and follow doctor's orders. However, if you follow your doctor's orders and something still doesn't feel right, you know yourself, you know your body, and that's how self-care is all the more important. Seek a second opinion. Go somewhere else. If something doesn't feel right and your doctor keeps insisting everything is fine when you know something isn't, you know yourself, you know your body. Be your own self-advocate. That's something I should have done because I trusted this doctor, and I won't say who he is. He's retired. Yeah, my mother was ready to smack him one because I kept telling him, I think it's my gallbladder that's bothering me. I am the doctor. I make the diagnosis, not you. It's your acid reflux. Well, it wasn't just my acid reflux. No, obviously it was something even worse. Because when I think about it, it really could have been a lot more serious than it was. I could have gone into sepsis. I could have gone into kidney failure. But thank God I wasn't, and thank God I was okay. So, take care of yourself. Keep yourself healthy. You know if something's wrong. You know your body. You know your own health. Be your own self-advocate. And if something doesn't feel right, even though your doctor tells you everything is fine, and I'm not saying it's not important to follow doctor's orders, it is, but take care of yourself if you know something isn't right. Seek a second opinion. Talk to someone else, even though it may be a pain in the neck, but you know what? Could mean life or death. And we all want to keep you here because you're all great people. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Joe. Those are some good words of advice. Although don't ask too many questions. I was dropped from one of my doctors for asking too many questions. So there's a fine line there, I guess. but thank you. We are right on time in our meeting today, which makes me very happy. I'm going to call for a timer's report. David Jones, will you give us the time, please?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, all three qualified. Beth at 6:27, Jill at 7:25, and Joe at 5:36. Thank you.
Super. I'm glad. All right, will you please mark your ballots when they come up for Beth, Jill, or Joe? All right. The next portion of our meeting will be for evaluators. Our first evaluator is David Licata, and he is evaluating Beth Banks. Take it away, Dave.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. First, I had to get this out of the way. Hot fun in the summertime. Thank you. What we got this morning is we have a very experienced Toastmaster, but on top of that, we have a lady that spent a long career teaching. So at the drop of the hat, she's ready to entertain us. And I'm sure her students enjoyed her because she's not only informative, but she's entertaining as well. So I wish to give her a lot of credit because she was going to go down memory lane, and going down memory lane is the best way to lasso in your audience, because we all have warm, wonderful memories of summer. And as we get older, it's more important to go to those memories because it goes back to the quote this morning. It used to be this long, beautiful summer, and now it's 12 weeks. So it's exactly the problem. But we had some help from our speaker number one this morning to overcome that with some really nice memories. What I'd like to see her do next time, and I know that she wrote in like the cavalry to take care of that blank spot in the agenda. But next time you do this speech, and remember, when I evaluate, I always encourage you to remember that this speech can be used again now that you've given it, you had it evaluated, so you can polish it up a little bit. So I would just ask her to be more chronological in the way she presents the story. That's the way I see it. So she should start out talking about how her grandfather taught her how to swim when she was just a little girl, and then take it from there and go on and on with these very pleasant memories of different locations, how these locations were different from one another. That was certainly a nice thing about the speech. And what really made the speech work for me, she turned it into a campfire. You know, you gather around the campfire, you tell scary stories. Well, I'm terrified if I got to listen to a story where pasta is wasted and thrown out. So if you're going to give a speech and you even approach the fact that you might cook this past al dente, let me know. I will excuse myself from the audience. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the reminder of pasta abuse and how to prevent it. All right. Our next evaluator will be Samantha Giambattista, and she will be evaluating Jill Roaring's speech. Take it away, Sam.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and Jill. Right off the bat, you posed a couple questions. What's the difference between summer, winter feeding? Where to start? That piqued my interest. Unfortunately, then it got kind of choppy there. It felt like for maybe 2 minutes. I'm not sure really how long it was, but during that time, I was still observing really great eye contact. You seemed very confident. When when you came back in more clearly, you used a lot of good gestures. Your visual aids really enhanced what you were talking about. Part of the objective here was to be seamless. You were definitely seamless in bringing them right in to the conversation, and they correlated with what you were talking about. Your sense of humor always enhances your speeches, in my opinion. You had a lot of good language, flamboyant males only, vibrant, sun glinting off the iridescence. To improve, maybe more vocal variety, but then again, it cut out for about 2 minutes, so you may have had vocal variety at that point, and I didn't hear it. And Zoom issues, obviously. The speech could be better if it wasn't so choppy, but that's not really your fault. Overall, it was a great speech on a topic that you're obviously very passionate and knowledgeable about. And you definitely accomplished the goal of using those props to present your speech in a carefree manner. I recently got one of those video bird feeders, so I've become a bit of a bird enthusiast myself, and I just saw a hummingbird last night on there, and my favorite blue jay has made a couple appearances, so I really enjoyed your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, and way to go for observing the nonverbal aspects of Jill's speech. Way to go. There was definitely variety in the vocals. Our next evaluator will be Sylvia Baptiste, and she is evaluating Joe Budnick's speech. Take it away, Sylvia.
Okay, I will. Joe, you've been a member for quite a while, and I do enjoy your speeches. They're always very personable, and that's what makes the best speeches. You bring personal experience to them, and it's very descriptive. Your words you used was right on. I love it. Great facial expressions. And the vocal variety you elaborate on. However, you brought yourself into the camera. You used the camera very well. And a great ending. I love the ending. I have a problem with endings. Where do you cut it off? Now, I'm supposed to give you a little nudge of how you could improve your speeches. And it's very hard when it's personal to you. I don't know the feeling but you had time. You were what, 5 minutes and 46 seconds, Mr. Timer? So you had some time that you could give us more on the tips of self-care. What are you doing now to keep your gallbladder intact or other health issues that would help your body? And that is actually my only criticism, I guess, suggestion, that I would like you to challenge yourself, elaborate a little bit more. But all in all, your speech was well organized. Your health made it more emotional, personal, and it was informative, and it was not a report. You hit all the points of the purpose of the speech. Just add more tips. I think it would persuade us more to be on a healthy note. And I'm using "and" as a connector today. It's not a good word. Just more tips, I think, would stretch your speech out. And like I said, I love the ending. Thank you, Joe, for your emotional speech.
Thank you, Sylvia, for your emotional evaluation. Thank you very much. We're probably a little bit ahead of schedule, probably because I'm not given enough filler material. Have you noticed this summer that you've been mowing your grass more than normal? I think some places have got more rain than others, but usually you start out the season mowing twice a week. I think it was 3 times a week that I was doing it. And then you go to once a week, and then it's once every 2 weeks. and then the grass turns brown and you don't have to do it for a long time. Well, I haven't gotten past the 2 times a week yet. I'm still mowing my grass twice a week. And we haven't got as much rain as some other areas have. All right, so I'm going to now introduce the general evaluator, Mike Florio, for his take on
Timers report.
We might need a timers report and a vote.
You're right. Thank
But
you.
I can do that.
Our timer today is David Jones. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Darcy. And yes, I mow my grass at least once a week, mostly because my neighbor over here is retired and I think he mows every day. So to keep up with him, I'm always mowing. But all 3 of our evaluators qualified: Dave at 302, Sam at 211, and Sylvia at 222. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I have a contest with my neighbor to see who can mow the lawn the most, I think, most hours on the lawnmower. Will you please vote for the best evaluator, Dave, Sam, or Sylvia? I'm going to call on the word master of the day to see. Wait, I don't do that yet. Do that afterward, right?
Can I go first because I have to get off to work?
That would be awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Darcy. And believe it or not, the word of the day went over pretty well. Darcy, you are by far the winner using the extra credit word insouciant 4 times. You also used carefree twice. Margot used the word, David Jones used it, Mike Licata used it, Sam used it, Beth Banks used it, and Bridget used it. And 2 other extra credit people are Bridget and Beth Banks. And that's how our word did today. Fantastic job, everyone.
Thank you, Tracy. Mike Florio, would you like to call for the other reports?
Sure, if that's fine by me. I'll go over our evaluators and your job so far. Darcy, great theme. Everybody loves to talk about summer. I know I've been a mowing machine. Okay, that's all I do is mow, it seems like. And I, with all this grass and rain, there's no more extra roll on my golf ball, so I'm a little disappointed, that I can't, you know, my 250-yard drives are now 150-yard drives. Anyway, all our evaluators did a really great job. We had a great mix of different people. Sam, new to the game here, and Sylvia, who's been around for a while, and of course, Dave, who's the salty veteran. So we had just about everybody else that everyone from each zone, and everybody did basically the sandwich approach as normal. And they brought in, started out with a few. Dave did, hot fun experience, and an experienced teacher that Beth is. I would have liked to have heard possibly out of Beth about a little bit more about that black smoke, of how they woke up that way. Was it from the campfire? What was it from? That was something that I hope that maybe Dave could have touched on, that she could have done more, but her speech.
Apparently the furnace exploded.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow. Oh, wow. And then Dave, with his comedic humor, threw in the pasta wasted, and being a Gumbati, I'm a little upset too that, yeah, I've never heard of pasta being cooked on a grill, so that was a great one there. I think Sam may have had the toughest job today with Jill's internet connection. That was pretty tough, and I feel bad for Jill, only because it's she's dropping so much knowledge on everyone about what she knows, and even the little bits that I got from her speech, I learned a lot from. So I think the next time, hopefully, she can maybe do that speech again in front of us all, so that we learn even more from her, because there's just so much knowledge that you can get from her. Sylvia did a great, again, sandwich approach with Joe, and I agree with her points that maybe even to go beyond, to say a few more tips on self-care, that would be pretty helpful, Joe, in a way to say, and I get the point that you're trying to throw down there, is that, nowadays with the way things are kind of changing in healthcare, I think you have to be your own self-advocate and go out there and press for the answer. A lot of times your primary doctor will just kind of say, go see a specialist. And something like a gallbladder, you probably could have caught that, but who knows? Anyway, I mean, that's my own opinion. But I thought that Sylvia did a great job by bringing that to the forefront, that maybe go beyond a little bit to just say, what can you do? Right. And beyond that, I thought it was a great meeting, a lot of fun. And I will call for some reports this morning. Let's go to our grammarian first. Mary, how are you?
I'm good. So the bad reports I thought was self-care and smoke because the Canadian fires. And the good was positive and butterflies because everybody likes butterflies. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Mary, thank you very much. Let's go to our master, Carol Ann. What do you got for us?
Actually, everyone did pretty well today, probably because my usual ahs weren't counted. Margot had a couple so's, Bridget couple so's, Gerald and Christina couple so's, a couple ahs, 2 or 3 ahs. Joe had the couple so's, and also Darcy had a so now and then. So was the word today. Thank you.
So I saw you at the fair, Carol Ann. You were
Oh,
talking with friends, and I was there last night, and it was good to see you there. I should have popped over and said hi, but I was with my son and a few other people.
yeah, got to see 99 tractors.
Yeah, my neighbor was in the tractor parade, and his daughters, so it was really fun to see too. It was a good time. I like the Niagara County Fair because it's the right size. The Erie
Yeah.
County Fair is huge. It takes you forever to walk through it, and ours, you could stay for a half hour, you could stay for 3. Anyway, let's see. Let's move on to our quizmaster this morning, Mr. Licata, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I will give everyone hopefully a couple of seconds to unmute themselves so we can kind of do this right. What flavor is Dr. Stevens' favorite flavor of ice cream?
Black
raspberry.
raspberry. That's my
Correct.
favorite too.
And which band did Maggie see at Groff's this past week? Anybody?
Villains,
Yes, correct.
Righteous villains.
Correct.
righteous villains.
And what did it mean when Beth went to the Finger Lakes as a kid with her father?
Rain.
Rain.
Memorial Day
Correct.
weekend.
And my last question is, other than hummingbirds, what other bird enjoys nectar?
Oriole.
Orioles.
Baltimore.
She said Baltimore Orioles. That are my questions this morning. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Let's see. We don't need a word report, but I'll tell you what, Tracy might have been right up there with one of the toughest words, I think, to fill in there that I've ever heard of. Insouciant.
Yeah.
That one just does not roll off the tongue. It just doesn't. I had an insouciant day today.
Yeah.
Did I miss anyone? I don't believe I did miss anyone for reports. So I will hand it back over to the Toastmaster of the day so that we can hand out some awards and any final comments.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for doing that. Yes, I'm very interested in seeing who are the award winners today. We are right on time, maybe even a few minutes early. How do we do this? How do I give awards?
Hey, I want to say I'm sorry. I was a little late. I drove all the way to the Y because I didn't realize that I thought we were back at.
Oh no.
It's like, oh my God, there's nobody here.
Oh no.
And I was, I made a rolled stop through quite a few stop signs.
Darcy, we'll have you can announce the winners with Mark, but first I have a short couple of short announcements here. And myself. Okay. One thing we need to be careful with when we're doing an online presentation is what the other people see. And that's the quality of our camera, make sure that we're in frame. And this is something I've done in the past, not even realizing it. If you're leaning on a table as you're talking, you see how I'm jumping around? Every little motion on that table, which includes the camera, just gets magnified and it's very distracting. So what you have to do is actually make sure your hands are off the table anytime you're speaking, so that there's no contact with the camera at all. And Dr. Stevens, this I've seen you do a couple times before. You were going like back and forth on your chair, and I'm sure it was an unconscious thing as you're talking. But again, that's a little distracting as to the people that are watching on video. But we're getting the hang of it. We've been doing this a number of years. I did want to also add that Toastmasters International has added another path. It's under the additional content. It's called Online Meetings Mastery, and it's tips and tricks. You focus on how to improve your presentation in online meetings. It's about 5 years late, in my opinion, but it's there. It's only $15, which is reasonable for international. So you may want to explore that. And it counts as a level 2 accomplishment. Additionally, the legacy path on international in Pathways, which is akin to the old Competent Communicator 10 speech project book, is now available for first-time members. You can actually start with the legacy path, go through that, and then go on to the other pathways paths. And I think that's going to help a lot of people. I'm a little biased. I grew up with the old system. I've never fully adopted the pathways yet. I'm working on it. Grit my teeth as I do it, but I just want to make you aware of those. I'll send an email out with details on both of those as well. And at this point, I'll turn things back over to Darcy, and you can bring Mark on and announce the winners.
All right. Thank you, Len. So I do have the winners for, let's do table topics first. For the table topics winner of the day, it is Christina. Congratulations, Christina. For evaluators, congratulations, Samantha, even though you had the most challenging job of anybody today. And our best speaker of the day, Beth, congratulations.
Beth had to step away for an appointment, but sure.
Thank you, Beth, for stepping in, even though you didn't give a speech from one of the manuals. We appreciate that. Are there any announcements from anybody?
Well, I'll announce the Toastmaster for next week will be Nancy Ferry. I don't believe Nancy is on today. Speaker will be David Jones, Mary Cavanero, and Marty Johnston.
Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Pardon me, is this an appropriate time for a comment? I had written one for the chat, but it got deleted. So I wonder if I can verbalize it, or should I enter it into the chat, Or is this not a time for comments, rather announcements?
This is a
Sure, go
perfect
ahead,
time for
Christina.
comments.
May I give the comment that I was going to put in the chat?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So I was going to comment in regards to Joseph's speech today about caregiving. I have the correct name, right, Joseph?
Yes.
Okay. And also Darcy had chimed in about a slight comment, but I want to say that as a internal medicine physician assistant of 20 years that I practiced in Phoenix, I truly believe that it is a privilege and a pleasure when someone invites you into their health. And that paradigm has not been embraced from what I can see. I think the MO of the past, as Joseph's prior PCP, a prideful approach, thinking that he's the boss of everything, when truly, as Joseph called out, he is the expert in his own body. While the doctor knows medicine, his pride got in the way of his insight, and that does happen often, sadly. So I want to call out that there are others like me out there that I see that hold a paradigm called shared decision making, that we don't fix people. We walk alongside people when they invite us into their health, and to get to know each other, to listen is the most important thing you can do. And it was sad to hear that Joseph didn't receive that to the degree of having his gallbladder explode, and he could have lost his life, honestly. So, that crushed me to hear. And so I had to say that comment that we are not going to see that in the future, and that we can, as people who always wear the hat of being a patient, invite people into our health when they have that paradigm of, seeing when we see each other who we are, beautiful people. So, so Darcy, sorry that you didn't get to ask every question, because I really think that's horrible what she said too. Like, you should be able to ask everything. So I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm going to lean out now.
Appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Christina, are you familiar with the term icebreaker? Because you just
Yes.
gave it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Christina.
Indeed. And I have to say, whenever Zach speaks or Dr. Stevens, I like to see that context within them of like loving people. So I'm like, I see that, cool. Sorry. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Christina. Also, thank you to Kate. She put in the chat some events that are coming up soon: the Shakespeare in the Park, the Asian Fest, and the Stargazing Party. So
Thank you, everybody. I'll keep the meeting going for a little while if you want to continue chatting, but I'll stop the recording now.